Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Vietnam Stock Market Opportunities. It's an honor to be with you today. And if you want to open a legal trading account, please contact us with the email Vietnamstockmarket.entry@gmail.com. Telegram Vietnamstockmarket.entry with the phone number is 8491-432-6556. Or you can also scan the two QR codes on the screen so that we can support you. And the other way to contact with us is please follow and subscribe to the channel name Areca Capital Channel. The owner of this YouTube channel is Areca, which is a personal financial advisor. You can contact her with the email hongdongwin@vcsc.com.vn with the phone number is 8491-432-6556. And we always welcome you to our office on the 11th floor, 109 Trần Đại Street, Hoàn Kiếm District, Hà Nội, Vietnam. And today we're going to share with you about the Vietnam Strategy 2023. Let's come to the power and water, growth in renewable energy. Power sector outlook. We maintain our optimistic view on Vietnam's power consumption growth that is driven by the country's strong economic growth. We expect the government will raise retail electricity prices 10% next year due to high gas prices and international coal prices. We expect Vietnam's Power Development Plan 8 will be approved in 2023. As a result, the renewable power sector should expect a new pricing policy that will nearly triple its capacity to 50,000 megawatt by 2030, in turn making renewable energy Vietnam's largest source of power. On the 20 November 2022, EVN proposed new prices for renewable power that are 15% to 20% lower than the previous favorable feed-in tariffs. Furthermore, the International Renewable Energy Agency expects average global wind and solar capex per megawatt to decline 15% to 30% over the next 10 years. In our view, this lower investment cost will have to maintain the profitability of new projects with IRR of 10% to 12%. Just Energy Transition Partnership created a turning point for Vietnam's renewable energy transition. On the 14th December 2022, the Vietnamese government and international partners agreed on JETP with $15.5 billion of financing over the next 5 years to support Vietnam's transition to green energy. We estimate this amount guarantees 25% of Vietnam's power capex requirements over the period. We project electricity consumption to rise 6%, 8% year-over-year in 2022 to 2023 as Vietnam's economy recovers from COVID-19. Furthermore, industry players expect Vietnam will enter a slight electricity shortage in 2023, which is partly due to limited capacity growth. We forecast competitive generation market prices will continue to be strong in 2023, more than 9% year-over-year, and outweigh the negative impact of higher gas prices, more than 30% year-over-year, and coal prices more than 10% year-over-year. Renewable power stocks have ample potential for capacity growth. HDG is our top pick. HDG is confident that its An Long wind power project will be added to PDP 8. We forecast HDG's EPS CAGR at 30% in 2021 to 2026 forward, and it trades at the cheapest 2023 forward PE of 6.4%, 6.4 times in our coverage. HDG also trades at 6% discount compared to real estate peers with nominal loan and bond financing for its real estate segment. Our second topic is PC1, which is a renewable power investor and has a power construction segment that secured a great record high backlog of 8 trillion Vietnam dong in 2022. We like also REES has the strongest financial health among renewable power stocks to pursue additional green energy capacity expansion. Dividends from thermal plants to be supported by earnings recoveries. We believe PPC, our third topic, will have 2023 forwards net profits after tax to recover by 50% and offer an increasing yield. Additionally, NT2 is poised to deliver a high dividend 6% to 8% as is debt-free. POW is a play on Vietnam's structural transition to LNG. POW's Nhân Trạch 3 and 4 plants that are targeted to come online by late 2025 and 2026 will expand its capacity by 35%. Water sector outlook. We expect the recent water tariff increase in Bình Phước province will increase the chance for BWE and TDM, our fourth topic, to receive higher water tariffs starting in 2024. In addition, the water business in Dong Nai province has great potential with Saturn Water JSC and a long-time highway power project, which could help BWE and TDM to double their capacity in the next 10 years. We like TDM, which has a 37% stake in BWE and projected and net profits after tax 50% year-over-year growth in 2023. And let's take a look on the screen. And I'm gonna show you guys about the power and water sector key data as of the 30 December 2022 and power sector valuations based on report earnings. 2022 recap share price performance. Renewable power stocks with low financial leverage and strong earnings growth outperformed the VN Index. REE significantly outperformed VN Index due to its high estimated 2022 forward earnings growth of 40% year-over-year, which we attribute to its strong volume growth amidst favorable weather conditions and high CGM price alongside a nominal coal shortage. However, as the 6-month deposit cap rate in Vietnam increased by 200 basis points to 6% in January to November 2022, the performance of power stocks became damaged. We also note that power stocks with exposure to real estate projects, HDG, PC1 and GEX underperformed the VN Index, which we attribute to high interest rates and limited credit room for both home buyers and real estate developers. Traditional power producers, POW and PPC underperformed the VN Index for most of the year due to their weak core earnings performance and technical issues at one and the ASIC generator for POW and PPC respectively. POW strongly underperformed the VN index as the underperformance of the Cà Mau and Vũng Áng plants outweighed the uh, surprising outperformance of Nhân Trạch 1, Hua Na, and Duck Dream. The poor results from the Cà Mau plant was due to competition from wind power mainly located in the Mekong Delta, as well as a gas shortage that happened in April 2022. Meanwhile, Vũng Áng Generator 1 has been dealing with a technical issue since December 2021, and the plant also faced the coal shortage. PPC is the worst performer along thermal power stock under our coverage due to the technical issue with its S6 generator that weighed on its earnings, which were only half the PPC's normal level of 1 trillion Vietnam dong, and consequently its share price. NT2 outperformed VN Index due to its strong financial position. Net cash solid 2022 forward earnings growth of 34% year-over-year and high dividend yield of 9%. Water supply companies BWE and TDM had positive performance thanks to their defensiveness with resilient output and core earnings. TDM and BWE also met investor expectations regarding their growth outlooks as both companies expanded their water businesses to Cần after acquiring stakes in Cần Water JSC, CTW, and Cần 2 Water JSC in Q1 2022. Electricity consumption experienced solid recovery in full year 2022. Electricity consumption recovered 7.3% year-over-year in 10 months 2022. In Q1 2022, Vietnam's monthly electricity demand growth year-over-year was mainly consistent with the growth of the index of industrial production in manufacturing IIP, while manufacturing IIP increased 9% to 12% in Q2 2022 from Q2 2021's low base, which was due to COVID-19. Nearly 2.5% of electricity demand growth was generated from its high base in 2021 Q2. In Q3 2022, the electricity market benefited from a strong consumption recovery of 14% year-over-year on average due to Q3 2021's low base resulting from Vietnam's extended COVID-19 lockdowns and the subsequent recovery of production. However, this growth could not last in Q4 2022 due to a potential global economic slowdown. Electricity consumption compares to index of industrial production year-over-year growth. Renewable energy and hydropower outperformed. Renewable power volume increased 24% year-over-year and accounted for 13% of Vietnam's total production volume in 10 months 2022, which was mainly supported by wind power. In 10 months 2022, wind power's production volume increased 5.4% year-over-year due to 4,000 megawatt of new wind power capacity that met the October 2021 deadline for a favorable tariff. Majority of this 4,000 megawatt wind power plants tried to meet the October 2021 deadline, which boosted October 2022 volume growth to 11.1 times year-over-year. In addition, although wind power production volume increased more than 5 times year-on-year in 10 months 2022. It only accounted for 3% of production volume. Hydropower plants had another solid year as their production volume increased 30% year-over-year, accounting for 36% of Vietnam's total production in 10 months 2022, similar to 2021, thanks to low production costs and favorable weather conditions. Improved rainfall, hydropower plants were the top priority for AVN Power Trading Company to mobilize electricity. Hydropower plants experienced 30% year-over-year volume growth in 10 months 2022, which was supported by the economic recovery from H2 2021's low base. Gas-fired volume was nearly flat year-over-year and accounted for 11% of Vietnam's total production volume in 10 months 2022. This was mainly due to higher gas prices as a result of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and competition from hydropower plants. Coal-fired output dropped 14% year-over-year in 10 months 2022, accounting for 38% of Vietnam's total production volume in 10 months 2022. This was primarily due to surging coal prices and competition from hydropower plants. The drop in output from coal-fired power plants can be attributed to the coal shortage that occurred in early 2022. Power production breakdown in 10 months 2022 compares to 10 months 2021 billion kilowatt-hour. Electricity demand growth supports CGM price despite higher contribution from hydropower. The average 10 months 2022 CGM price was 1,487 Vietnam dong per kilowatt-hour, more than 44% year-over-year. We attribute the higher CGM price to an electricity demand recovery of 7.3% year-over-year from 2021's low base, more than 4.5% year-over-year, and higher coal and gas prices, which significantly outweighed higher contributions of low production cost hydropower volume. The volume contribution from hydropower plants in Vietnam's total electricity production increased from 30% in 10 months 2021 to 37% in 10 months 2022, which was supported by better rainfall. 2023 and long-term outlook. In February 2020, Vietnam's Politburo published Resolution number 55 on the orientation of the National Energy Development Strategy to 2030 with a vision to 2045. This resolution's main goals include 1. Ensuring natural energy security, 2. Providing sufficient electricity to fuel Vietnam's economic growth at a reasonable cost, 3. Synchronizing Vietnam's development of its power generation infrastructure with other related industries, and 4. Building a competitive and transparent energy markets with diverse forms of ownership and business models. On the 15th December 2020, the Ministry of Industry and Trade published a draft of the first ever national Energy Development Plan for 2021 to 2030 with a vision to 2050, which consolidates master plans of all three energy subsegments: coal, oil and gas, and power. Power Development Plan (PDP)8. The Ministry of Industry and Trade released the sixth draft in September 2022. Up to now, there have been 9 PDP8 proposals. In the latest version, November 2022, which is presented below, the Ministry of Industry and Trade has provided a clearer path towards reducing the country's coal thermal power capacity to align with Vietnam's commitment made at the United Nations Climate Change Conference. The draft introduced hydrogen to mix with gas and LNG, and biomass and ammonia to mix with coal to reduce CO2 emissions. This draft estimates that if the proposed renewable capacity is successfully implemented, then Vietnam's annual carbon dioxide emissions would peak at 239 million tons in 2035 and then narrow to 115 million tons in 2045 and 30 million tons by 2050, which would secure Vietnam's COP27 commitments. We discussed these issues below. We expect PDP8 to be approved in 2023. The PDP8 draft November 2022 plans for power generation capacity growth at an 8.5% CAGR from 69,302 megawatt in 2020 to 156,444 megawatt in 2030, followed by a 6.4% CAGR to 538,426 megawatt in 2050. This growth will come from the following. Renewable capacity, wind and solar, is guided to nearly triple to 50,000 megawatt by 2030 and become the biggest source of Vietnam's national power capacity. According to the November 2022 draft, Vietnam's total renewable capacity will be 49,941 megawatt by 2030, including 28,480 megawatts of wind power, 16,491 megawatt of solar power, including rooftop solar, and 4,970 megawatt of other renewable power, biomass, and others. Renewable energy will account for 32% of the total national capacity by 2030 compared to 25% in 2020 and will mainly be contributed by wind power. 18% of total national capacity. Wind power capacity is guided to increase 53 times in 2020 to 2030 and will be driven by onshore wind. In terms of solar power, the PDP8 draft plans to maintain Vietnam's current solar capacity at 17,000 megawatt and encourages further rooftop solar projects for self-consumption. Classified under the biomass, coal generation, and others item. Until 2030, however, the draft includes the plan to raise Vietnam's solar power capacity to nearly 170,000 megawatt by 2050. limited increase in hydropower capacity to 29,000 megawatt, in line with guidelines as established in previous master plans. Vietnam has exhausted its capacity to build new large-scale hydropower dams. All of the new hydropower capacity in the next 20 years will be filled by small-scale hydropower plants with capacities of 30 megawatt and lower. The contribution of hydropower plants is expected to drop more 30% of the national power system in 2020 to 19% in 2030 and 7% in 2050. Gas and LNG fired capacity will increase 5 times to 40,000 megawatt. Beginning 2023, gas expect to import LNG for gas-fired plants to use along with domestic gas. Vietnam's gas-fired capacity is expected to double to 14% to 14,930 megawatt by 2030. According to the PDP-8 draft, subsequently 50% of this capacity will add hydrogen along with LNG and gas before completely switching to pure hydrogen by 2045. The remaining capacity, 7,900 megawatt, will continue to use gas and LNG through 2050. New LNG fire capacity will switch to combining LNG and hydrogen by 2050. A sizable amount of LNG fire capacity will come online in 2024 to 2025, which is in line with Vietnam's development of its LNG importation infrastructure. By 2030, LNG powers should have an installed capacity of 24,500 megawatt according to the PDP-8 draft. Furthermore, the draft directs to build another 4,000 megawatt by 2035 along with converting 3,500 megawatt of pure LNG fire plants to mixing hydrogen with LNG and switch to consume pure hydrogen by 2050. The draft also plans other LNG fire plants to follow the similar transition. Coal fire capacity will increase by 50% to 30,000 megawatt in 2030. Coal-fired power will continue to play a major role in Vietnam's power capacity expansion until 2030. According to the PDP-8 draft, Vietnam will install 9,696 megawatt of coal-fired capacity to bring the country's total coal-fired capacity to 30,127 megawatt in 2030, 19% of the national capacity compared to 29% in 2020. The draft also aims for coal-fired plants to end their operation after 40 years of technical life and perform gradual transitions to using biomass and ammonia. Significant expansion in import power. Vietnam also plans to import 5,000 megawatt of power capacity in the next 10 years, nearly 4 times higher compared to the current amounts. Changes of November 2022 draft compared to April 2022 draft. Vietnam's total national power capacity was designed at 156,000 megawatt in the November 2022 draft, which which is nearly unchanged compared to April 2022 draft. Notably, the November 2022 version is the first draft to plan Vietnam's power capacity through 2050. In addition, the Ministry of Industry and Trade increased the country's wind power capacity by 5,359 megawatt in 2030 and 11,800 megawatt in 2045 compared to the April 2022 draft, and plans for it to be 153,050 megawatt by 2050, which demonstrates the huge growth potential for wind power. On the other hand, Vietnam's coal-fired power capacity was cut 7,340 megawatt in 2030, instead of remaining the same in 2045. As in the previous draft, the Ministry of Industry and Trade decreases to 29,267 megawatt in 2045, whereas the amount for gas-fired plants remain unchanged. Additionally, the Ministry of Industry and Trade set a clearer path to reduce carbon emissions from coal, gas, and LNG plants and replace them with more eco-friendly fuels such as biomass, ammonia, and hydrogen, which is an advancement compared to all previous drafts. Lastly, there will be no more coal-fired plants by 2050, and 25,632 megawatt will solely be from biomass and ammonia. Yeah, and that brings me to the end of my presentation today. So if you want to open a legal trading account, don't hesitate to contact with us with the information on the screen so that we can assist you. Have you guys have a nice day. So thank you for listening and see you next time.